What's happening? 21.3 and 21.4. It's open season and it's almost over. How beautiful, 3 weeks. I love it. Love the 3 weeks. 4 workouts in 3 weeks, great, even better. All right, the test. You've read it over before. Let's break it down a little bit. So we have our 15 front squats and our 30 toes to bar into 15 thrusters. All right, obviously going to be different levels of gymnastics. We're talking to probably the non-elite people because I know a bunch of them out there following my tips. That's all right if they're not commenting, but most of us probably mere mortals that should be breaking up those 30 toes to bar. All right. I'm fairly good at toes to bar, could do 30. I broke them up, set of 10, 10, and then 5, 5, all right? Might have been skewed 11 or 12 on that first one, but basically those were the numbers. Now, you don't have to do what I would do, but if your big set is 20, then I'd hit a big set of 7 or 8 to start, right? Got to maintain the heart rate, keep it down, stay smooth, stay loose, all right? The front squats, you're thinking about not having that death grip on the bar because you're gonna need a little more grip on those thrusters. Soon as that bar goes down, recovery starts, all right? If you've been practicing some of the breathing stuff that we've been talking about, nasal breathing, oh man, it's beautiful. So you should be recovering with that if you can during that minute rest, maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Really focus on bringing that heart rate down during that minute, and then you jump into the same thing except we're going chest to bar. Now, same thing on the front squats, keep the grip loose. Maybe those are broken up into an 8-7, and then on those chest to bar, same principles apply, all right? We wanna go short, attainable sets, something where we don't need more than 10 to 15 seconds on the ground before we can jump back up onto the bar. Now, if chest to bars are elusive, then you're gonna go for singles and you're gonna try to really get that strong hip drive up so you can make contact with that chest to the bar. Rest a minute, focus on that recovery after the thrusters, and then we go to the bar muscle ups. All right, here it depends. Depends what type of athlete you are. You're trying to get your first one. If you are, then you should pace out this first 2 even more. If you know you can get a couple, or you know you can get 5 in a row when you're fresh, then you should be trying to get to this with some time left and then hit it with a good plan, all right? So maybe it sets a 3, maybe it sets a 5, all right? But if you can chip off a decent set on those 30 bar muscle ups, and most important tip for those, I'm sure you've seen this around, no failed reps. You have got to know your body and yourself. Maybe your judge or your coach is there to help you, to tell you to go, stop, wait, rest, whatever that might be, all right? No failed reps on those bar muscle ups is huge because every rep is gonna be precious when it comes to those, all right? Then you have your rest coming up. So if you're working through the bar muscle ups and you have completely exhausted them or you're not getting any more, use that time to rest, all right? And then that 15-minute clock hits and the 7-minute starts, all right? We'll go over some efficiency lifts, efficiency points of performance with the lifts, but overall, you're gonna have 2 attempts, max 3 attempts, all right? Max 3 attempts. So I would approach it as a weight that is a little bit above challenging for you, little bit above challenging, meaning if my 1 rep max, just for even simple numbers, is 200 pounds, that's my 1 rep max, no work before. That means hopefully I can hit about 80 to 90% of that. So I should be coming in around 185 or 190. I should use that as my opener, something that I'm confident with. I know I can hit when I'm tired. Then from there, I'm gonna push the envelope a little bit. All right? So you can hit that weight, get it under your belt, make it one that's possibly a little bit heavier than you think. You don't want to underestimate that and hit a 160 as a warm-up. You do not need to warm up in that sense for this complex. If you're doing anything, you're just picking the weight up off the ground, maybe hitting a clean and then setting it down. That would be the extent of the warm-up, not a full complex. All right? Let's start to break down these movements. Before we fully break down the movements, make sure that you check the description below. We're gonna list a warm-up down there. Some rowing to get the heart rate up, some grip forearm openers, some good ankle hip openers so you're ready to squat. An essential piece to this workout is gonna be a good solid warm-up. So check the notes below for that. Front squat, bars coming off the ground. We wanna do the best job we can to keep that chest upright and tall and keep that grip loose. It's real subtle, but here my forearms are turned on. Here I'm a little bit more relaxed. I'm driving up in those elbows and keeping that chest up nice and tall as I sink down and stand up. Chest is up, really, really as high as I can get it so I can maintain that breathing and not coming down into this position. Now, when you pick up the weight, especially on a front squat, if you're an experienced exerciser, all right, then you know the difference between these two squats. I could squat a little more quad dominant here, or I can squat really hip dominant, glute dominant by driving back. Again, we'll see my hips lead into that movement or kind of my knees lead into that movement. You can switch back and forth between the two if you need to, depending on where you are, all right? So you can drive those hips back, or you can use a little bit more of those quads. I would do the most reps you possibly can with a tall chest and sinking those hips back. Those glutes are gonna be stronger. Those quads are gonna start to wear a little bit in the thrusters. Now, we all know the big efficiency tip for the thruster, you have to get the hips involved. So I reach back into that squat, I explode up, as my hips come through, that bar drives up above my head. This point right here, that bar is weightless, and I'm just kind of punching through at the top. Really hold on to those positions in the thruster. It will be a huge help and a huge benefit for the workout, all right? So front squats, you're thinking loose grip. Thruster, you're thinking speed up off the ground. Feel free to break these up. If it helps you control your heart rate a little bit more, then take these in sets of 8 and 7. Try not to break down below sets of 5, 5, 5. My biggest tip for the toes to bar, the bar muscle ups, and the chest to bar pull-ups is going to be to jump into that kipping position. Now, where you are as far as strength, technique, getting your hips to the bar, pressing down on the bar, loose shoulder, active shoulder, there's a lot of stuff that goes into these 3 gymnastics movements that you can find some really good tip videos that we'll link below, specifically in those movements that are diving in. But when you're in this workout, and you'll see this in some of these videos, here's what you need to focus on or practice a little bit that you can actually learn a little bit before the workout, where you're not gonna all of a sudden learn how to press your hips into the bar and develop the strength to get over. So, you need to walk into each rep that you're starting. So if I come in through here and I dead hang, jump up, and then start to work my kip, I am not gonna be as strong as if I had this step back and then I jump into my kip. Step in, feet out in front, and then kip. So as I step into that kip, I let my feet slide out in front of me and I'm in this hollow position, all right? I'll freeze frame it on this one. As you see on that one, I stepped into it, my feet were out in front of me, my shoulders were in this hollow position, and my back was slightly rounded in the back. So as you see on that one, I stepped into it, my feet were out in front of me, my shoulders were in this hollow position, and my back was slightly rounded in the back. And then as I came out of it, I went through and then dropped down to the bar, to the floor, sorry. So you see that position gives you just a little bit more leverage on the bar, all right? Practice a few jumps into this. Make sure you have a good grip. That will give you a little bit more momentum, all right? The second piece, the second tip that I think you can work on is as you're jumping in to work on the width of where you have your hands and then the position of your hands on the bar. So are you grabbing way over the bar when you come on with a narrow grip? Hard to see my hands, but basically I went way over, so I tore my hands up and my grip was in really tight with a tight shoulder position, all right? So that position right here, narrow, tight active shoulder, much different than jumping in a kip here, where I have a slightly wider grip and then my shoulder is in this loose position. That's gonna be more advantageous for me to develop that swing. So I'm pressing down through the lats and I'm tight, where I have that big open shoulder position, and that's gonna give me more leverage out front to then push back down on that bar. Whether that's a little bit of push for the toes to bar or a big push for the bar muscle up or chest to bar pull up. Those are the 2 tips that I think you can use to improve on 21.3 today. 1.4, you have the complex. Deadlift, clean, hang clean, jerk, all right? So I think most athletes, now I know we saw the RX, the professional athletes go into a clean, a squat clean. If you can do that, great. I think a lot of people are going to end up shooting out wide, if I want to be honest, which I know this is bad form and technique. Don't get angry at me. This is just the way I think it's going to go, all right? So we're going to deadlift the bar up. Then we're going to come into that clean. I think the feet are going to spread a little bit in order to make that catch. We'll walk it back in. It's going to take a big commitment to drop underneath that bar. If you can do it, great, that's a better option. I think a lot of people will spread a little bit, and then on that jerk, it's gonna be the hardest part. Even if you're proficient at jerking, you wanna drive through that floor and then get as deep as you can in that catch, as you punch yourself through, stabilize, and then drive up. Now, as far as strategy for this goes, it's gonna be imperative that you work up to that load or extremely close to that load in the warm-up. You will have 2 attempts for this complex, maybe 3. So think about that, plan your weights out, make sure you have them there so you're ready. You think you finish at 15, let's say, right on the buzzer, you're gonna get that last thruster. You have 7 minutes. You're probably not gonna approach the bar to lift till about 18:30. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, calm down, reset the weight. 18:30, you drop the bar. Now you're right around 19 after the complex is finished and you're glancing up at the clock, all right? The whole thing doesn't take 30 seconds, but you know what I mean, all right? So now we have 19 to 20, 20 to 21, 21 to 22, 3 minutes left. That flies by. To hit this complex twice in 90 seconds would be a lot. That is only there, that time is only there if you fail again. So hopefully you get that good lift in the belt, under the belt, and then you can strap on for that reach of a lift and then hit it, boom, right at the end. 21.3, 21.4, happy CrossFit, open.